Hello, my name is Erica Reynolds and this is my final major B2 project. For this brief, I chose to do the Firestarters set brief of Mashup, Liven Up. A brief that involves taking brands that are very different and having them collaborate to increase the size of their target audience. For this brief, I chose to select the clients Miriam Blastrit, the current author and illustrator of the series Marionetta that is currently streaming on Webtoon, and I chose to have them collaborate with the infamous, well-known card game Top Trumps. I selected both of these clients as they are very, very different, and I thought they would create an interesting collaboration for my final outcome. When it came to deciding what my target audience would be for this project, I decided I wanted to go for a target audience between the ages of 16 to 20. I specifically like the idea of marketing to a late teenager, early adult audience because I thought this is the most likely age to be interested in the fantasy romance book Marionetta. The effect having this target audience meant my immediate focus was shifted to thinking about the environmental impact that my packaging will have on the environment. I wanted to make sure that everything I was producing wouldn't affect the environment in a long-term way, as the generation and target audience that I'm marketing to, mainly Gen Z, cares a lot about sustainability and will be very put off by any packaging that is going to long-term affect the environment, such as the traditional Top Trump packaging, which is usually in plastic. I also thought about the fact that I should definitely take a more digital stance on my marketing, as my generation that I am marketing to, an audience of 16 to 20-year-olds, is most likely to be on apps like TikTok and Instagram. So it would be best set of cards, as I wanted to make sure I could produce them in a sustainable format. For the first section of this project, I produced a set of 10 Top Trump cards. I produced the character illustrations in Procreate and did the layout and other design elements in Adobe Illustrator. My audience affected this, which I chose to do at a printing agency that encourages sustainability and also having them produced in card that will biodegrade if they enter the environment. The most successful part of my Top Trumps is definitely the character illustrations that I produced for all 10. I had only used Procreate previously twice, one time for my most recent project, which was Kew Gardens. I was very pleased with these outcomes as I hadn't done character illustrations in Procreate before, so it was nice to develop my own style and produce a set of 10 illustrations that went across 10 different characters with different appearances and personalities. So I was able to capture these correctly and I was very pleased about it. The second section of my project was to produce a Top Trumps card box. I produced this in both Procreate and Illustrator, same as the Top Trump cards. This section of the project was affected by my audience similarly to my Top Trump cards. I wanted to make sure that all my outcomes were sustainable and would biodegrade over time and wouldn't impact the environment long term. The most successful parts of this project are definitely the fact I was able to incorporate some design elements and illustrative design throughout this book. First of all, I wanted to make sure that all my illustrations were able to interact with the specialist paper that I purchased from GF Smith. So I was very happy that I was able to make it act alongside the specialist paper by having it peeking through the illustrations where I'd just done simple line art. I was also very happy with the fact I was able to incorporate and continue incorporating my design elements throughout this project, such as the daggers that I used to frame the logos on the side of the box. This therefore draws attention to the logos, which is what I'm doing to subtly promote the company Top Trumps and also, of course, the not so well-known series Marionetta. The third section of this project was to produce a set of social media marketing, specifically a carousel for Instagram and other social media platforms. I did this using Adobe Illustrator. Much traction from my new release of packaging design, so I ended up choosing to produce a carousel for Instagram instead, so it was more likely to reach my target audience, as my generation, which is part of my target audience, is on social media and is more likely to come across it than any physical poster outcome. The way that my target audience shaped the third section of my marketing is based on the fact that I knew I couldn't do any physical marketing because it wouldn't reach my target audience. I realised that if I didn't do social media marketing, I'd be less likely to get The two most successful parts of this third section of my project is definitely the use of engaging and interesting backgrounds, and also the use of mystery and anticipation when it comes to marketing your products. First of all, I want to talk about the fact about my backgrounds that I used. When it came to producing my backgrounds for the social media marketing that was framing all of the 3 things I had on my carousel, I made sure that it used a darker colour scheme so that the imagery would stand out more, so there was a level of contrast, and also the fact I used a pattern that I thought was circus themed. It was a repeating diamond pattern that I thought would attract my audience's attention as it framed the information in a successful way. When it came to talking about mystery and anticipation for this piece of social media marketing, I began by not immediately showing off what packaging I was selling. So instead I started with a mystery format where as you scroll along it would be revealed what I was selling for this collaboration. But I think this is the best way to get my target audience to interact with my post, as they will be intrigued by the mystery of the social media design. My overall thoughts of this project are very positive. I'm glad I was able to reach all of my goals that I set out from the start of this project from my proposal, such as producing a set of 10 cards, social media design, and a box for those cards. I'm very happy I was able to correctly target this to my audience by making it sustainable and only uploading posts to social media to market to my project, as that is what I wanted to make sure I could get my audience's attention. I also think all of these outcomes are very successful, and I'm also glad I was able to go down the same path as Top Trumps has gone down the path by producing non-biodegradable plastic packaging. I'm glad that all my packaging is sustainable and will not long-term impact the environment. Thank you for listening to my evaluation.